May 23rd, 1915. Dear darling, how have you been? Contacting you is so difficult now that you've changed locations again. I'm not even sure where to address this to, and I doubt I'll be receiving news on that front anytime soon. I understand you're only moving as you must. You're all at the mercy of a greater power. Just last Tuesday, I was sent running from Hildy's garden by an angry swarm of yellow jackets. Not quite the same, but I was hurried off nonetheless. I do miss you terribly. It's only been a little over a week since I received our last correspondence, and even less since your mother has gotten word. I wish we could speak again. If only I knew how to reach you. Until then, I plan to write you every day. I may not know where to send these letters, but they will be here for when you get back. A daily recount of our time apart. That way you won't miss a thing. Not much, in any case. Best wishes and kisses. Your Dumpling. June 6th, 1915. Gracious, but the day is hot. Went down to the pier this afternoon with Minnie. The sea breeze was a cool reprieve on our cheeks. We brought a couple sandwiches and ate while the ship sailed by. I was reminded of you. How you're out there, somewhere. It did take steeling myself not to shed a few tears, but I remained strong in spite of my sentimentality. I have to remember that you're coming home, and it's up to me to keep things running in the meantime. Your mother is so distraught at the distance. I've been taking her meals every other day. I don't mean to worry you, my love, but your return could not come too soon. Forever fondly, Dumpling. July 4th, 1915. Dear darling, the fireworks were a delightful distraction from the stress of everyday life. How is it I always forget how bright they are? Little Edmund next door had to cover his ears and nearly cried. How funny the things that frighten us as children delight us when we're older. When I saw those lights in the sky, they sent my mind racing back to our first kiss. And many subsequent kisses after that. What I wouldn't give for another taste of your lips as I sit here, scribing away. I miss your playful affections more than words can say. I hope, wherever you are, you can catch a glimpse of those fireworks as well. You are so brave in the things that you do. And it is because of men like you that we have reason to celebrate at all. You make me so proud. I'd write your name in the lights if I could. Love and sparklers, Dumpling. September 16th, 1915. I won't lie. Today was hard. You promised me before you left that you'd do your best to be here for my birthday. I know it isn't your fault. I'd like to say I wasn't truly expecting anything, but I admit I allowed myself to get my hopes up. The fantasy of having you materialize at my doors. One I've held dear for months now, but I know there's nothing I can do in reality but wait for things to fall into place. The day you come back to me shall be gayer than any party, any celebration, any birthday could ever hope to be. Until then, I must be patient and have faith in your abilities and mine. Longingly yours, Dumpling. October 31st, 1915. A message. Oh, darling, a message. I am so exhilarated, I can hardly hold a pen. My hand is shaking and my heart feels electrified. I don't even know what to do with myself other than to go over it a few hundred times more. So little said and yet entwined with so much meaning. How desperately I have yearned for this. Oh, your mother has long given up hope, and my friends may question my mental durability, but this proves my ambitions correct. Only to have you in my arms again, beloved, will there be a greater joy. This day will weave itself through my very fibers. A very special date indeed. Utterly thrilled. Your Dumpling. December 26th, 1915. No word from you since your first message. I held out hope that another might come across, but as it is, correspondence has been at a standstill. I do hope this is a matter of schedule and not one of scorn. I would not normally fall to such thoughts, but I had been met with such highs at your last communication that it is hard not to feel a deep and utter low in response to the silence that's followed. Tell me, am I very wrong in my anxieties? I fear I have become ungrateful. But now that I've finally gotten a glimpse of your presence, everyday life has become so desperately lonely in the wake of it. They say there can be too much of a good thing, but I didn't expect to become so drunk off of only one interaction. Then again, I felt the same when our courting first began. A simple brush of your fingertips would send me into a tizzy for days. That seems so long ago now. I sent your mother a gift. She hardly sees anyone lately, so I had to leave it at the door with a note. She misses you more than there are stars in the sky. But when I try to speak with her on it, she glares like a preacher at a left-handed wife. Once you're back, she'll be quick to change her tune. Merry Christmas, Dumpling. January 1st, 1916. Dear darling, fireworks again. I look to them with hope that you will soon be joining us. The lonesome feelings have crossed with me into the new year, but this time, at least I had some company. My friends and I took part in the festivities hosted by Juniper and her new husband. Being a bride suits her. She is glowing with happiness, and I see the pride in his eyes when he looks at her. I must have twisted my ring with more fervor than usual, for it somehow ended up and over my finger and was nearly lost underfoot when it fell to the ground. But don't worry, a kind man by the name of Alfred Hardock saw my plight and helped me locate it through the sea of heels. When he found it and gave it back to me, he laughed out loud. Shortly after, he told me the color had returned so quickly to my face that I went from resembling the belly of a redfish to the back of one. We hit it off rather quickly after that. He even complimented me on the ring. I told him I had the pleasure of wearing it due to your keen eye. Not many men would have been as skilled at picking out an engagement ring. We rang in the new year a few minutes later and gave each other a friendly handshake. How nostalgic it feels to touch a man's hand again. To new beginnings. Dumpling. February 14th, 1916. Dear darling, if only there were greetings such as these when we were children. I would have loved receiving a Valentine's card and displaying it proudly on the mantel alongside Mother's. Daddy always made her one from scratch, and they were so very beautiful, but there is a brightness to the ones from the store that speak to my memories of youth. Perhaps not as meaningful, but that's also a matter of what's imbued with it, don't you think? I had no thoughts in my head of receiving anything for the holiday, but Mr. Hardock surprised me with a small card this morning while I was taking a stroll. Of course, he also handed me one for my sister and mother. They did make fast friends when we ran into each other at the grocer last weekend. He's a kind man, Mr. Hardock. He reminds me of you in a way. And when he handed me that tidy little card of pink and red, I felt you just a little bit closer. Your Valentine. Dumpling. April 23rd, 1916. Oh, what a whirlwind the past 2 months have been. I've only just arrived home after a splendid outing. Petunia and Mr. Hardock, Alfred, as I now call him, went with me to the park for a spring day picnic. Petunia unfortunately had to take her leave early in order to get to the rail station on time, but Al and I have become quite good chums, so it was no bother. The many days we have spent together inform me of his qualities, and luckily, he seems approving of mine as well. The deeper our friendship grows, the more I see of you in him. True, you have similar eyes, but it's more than that. A spiritual tie. I think you'd appreciate what he has to offer. You match in enough ways that it could prove to be a surefire connection. Your souls speak to me so similarly. I feel a pull toward whatever direction he heads. Clearly, this must be a sign. Dumpling. May 6th, 1916. Dear darling, I must catch my breath as I write this. It's been exactly 1 year. The truth of that astounds me in a multitude of ways. When I first began writing these letters, I had neither a plan nor an idea of how to get you back to me. All there was fear and grief and a desperate desire to see you smile again, to hold you in my arms and make true on the promises that we'd made. I still am not your wife, and you linger as merely a fiancée in the eyes of the law, but in my heart we have been joined time and time again. In our kisses, in these letters, in our love. If nothing else, our time apart has shown me what manner of trials a romance must face, and I admit there have been actions that do not make me proud. However, if you are willing to put all of that in the past, I will be more than happy to move forward. We have so much life ahead of us, darling, and a great deal of it is thanks to my friend. In fact, were it not for him, I doubt any of this would have come to fruition in such a short time frame. You've always chuckled at my hobbies. I rarely took offense. Of course, I know they appear utterly foolish to most, but it was Alfred's affinity, you see, for the unusual that led him to trust in my tactics. Perhaps he thought it was all a trick. Who could blame him? What matters is that I didn't use force. You'll appreciate that shortly. I have to hurry. There's just so much to do. And it's inevitably easier work before they wake back up. Happy anniversary, darling. See you soon.